شرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي
Assalamu alaikum, brothers, sisters. I hope you're all well and excited for another show of our Radio Ramadan. I am your host, Brother Hassan Farouk, and I am joined as usual by Brother Mazahir Kareem. Assalamu alaikum, Mazahir. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam. How's it going, bro?
Alhamdulillah, all good, bro. Glad to see you
Ano-
again for another week. This is our third one.
Exactly.
Time is flying.
Time is flying. Another week, another excellent topic that we have planned
That's right, and
to
another excellent speaker.
discuss. Exactly. We should introduce our host today, His Eminence, one of my very good friends, our good friends, Sheikh Nabil Awan. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Nabil. How are you?
I think we've lost sound again.
Assalamu alaikum, Nabil.
Right. We seem to be having some technical difficulties with the sound. Are we here?
Nabil, you with us?
We do apologize. Seems to be a bit of a technical difficulty with the sound at the moment.
Nabil just logged out, just coming back. So, but Mazahir, like we said, it's the third week of our radio show. You know,
Exactly. It's going so fast, right? Ramadan is flying by so quickly.
we always say the same thing every year, don't we? You know, it comes
Every
and
single
goes just
year.
like that. What you
Assalamu
been up to
alaikum.
then? Wa alaikum assalam, Nabil.
How are you, brother? Are you okay?
Alhamdulillah, we all good. Thank you for joining us on our radio program.
No problem at all.
And we also forgot to introduce our other host tonight, Brother Ali Kareem, who has just joined us. I don't know what's going on with the network today, but we are all here now, I think.
Yes, we are. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Yes, I'm logged on. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can
Salam,
hear
bro,
you.
I'm
We
fine.
can hear you.
40 minutes left. 40 minutes left.
Anyway, I think we've lost earlier. I think it's Virgin Media problems on there. But Assalamu alaikum, Nabil. You know, we'll get straight to the chase because obviously we're losing time on here as well. We've chosen a
Exactly.
brilliant
So,
topic this week. Can you please introduce it to us?
so basically, we were talking about du'as. Obviously, during Ramadan, we recite a lot of du'as. And so some of the topics that we've decided to discuss tonight is about du'as. And one of the questions that I've always had is that during Ramadan, obviously it's a month where all our du'as are accepted, but then how come, like, most of the time our du'as are not accepted?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So, alhamdulillah.
Awesome.
There's when it comes down to dua itself and the acceptance of dua, it's not as straightforward as saying, "Oh, God doesn't like what I'm asking for, so He's not going to give it to me." I mean, that could be potentially a reason. What you're asking for is something silly, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala doesn't deem it to be good for you. But in regards to sort of those du'as not being answered, a couple of things. The first thing being that, have I sinned? Are my sins stopping my du'as from reaching? So in Du'a Kumail, in the opening lines, we're saying, Allahumma ghfir li adh-dhunub allati tahbisu ad-du'a. Oh Allah, forgive those sins of mine that stop my du'a from reaching you. Or in Du'a Abu Hamza Thumali, for example, we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, I don't know what it is that every time I go to pray to you, to do munajat to you, or I make the intention to stand up and pray in front of you. ألقيت علي نعاسا إذا أنا صليت. I make the intention to pray salah, and you cast sleep on me. What is the reason? And then Imam lists sort of 10 reasons as to why a person would be removed from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And most
Wow.
of them surround the company that a person keeps. Maybe it is because you found me amongst the wrongdoers. Maybe it's because you found me fond of the gathering of the wrongdoers. Maybe it's you found me amongst the liars. So there's that side of it. The sins of a person stop dua from going. Another thing is the food that a person eats. You know, certain foods, if it's haram in your system, I'm not talking about having pork or eating something like that, but rather, food money that you've earned fraudulently.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you stealing off someone. It could be you telling HMRC that I'm only working 20 hours a week, but actually you're knocking in 40 hours. And those additional 20 hours you've been lying about. So now when you use that money to buy food, now that's haram, right? Because you lied to gain that
Yes.
money and you're consuming it. So now that you've consumed it, now there's a spiritual block that's stopping your du'as from being answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other reason could be your style of asking, right? So
Right.
sometimes I raise my hands to pray and I'm like, Ya Allah, answer my dua. I've got financial problems. I got to get myself out of this financial hole. You've got a week. If not, I know a brother that helped me last time. I was in the same problem. So I don't have that yaqeen when I
Yeah.
pray. Yeah, I don't think that God's actually going to answer my dua. So at the back of my mind, I'm relying on another human being, but I'm like, look, I would prefer it be you, help me out, but
But I can get from elsewhere,
yeah.
essentially.
And so the moment you do that, that without that yaqeen, your dua isn't going to be accepted. So in dua iftitah that you recite every single day, alhamdulillah, of this holy month, in the start of it, you're first of all making that announcement of your yaqeen, وَأَيْقَنْتُ أَنَّكَ أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ, that I'm openly right now, I'm saying that I have yaqeen that you are the most beneficent, the most merciful. And so I'm straight away making that known that I have yaqeen in it. And when I don't have yaqeen that God will answer my dua, God won't answer my dua. So that's another reason. And then multitude of different reasons. How do I sit when I ask a dua? When I go to someone to ask for something, for them to help me, do I sit there with my legs stretched out, leaning against the wall? But you go to a masjid. I've come to Leicester many a times. I spent my time in there for university. Laylatul Qadr. People are reclining on a wall, legs stretched out in front of them, Quran by their feet. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi. Man, what's he going to answer you? Look at the style that you're approaching him with.
The respect should be there, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if I come to you and ask you, like, Hassan, you got to hook me up with the suitcase. Yeah. And, but, I haven't got the money on me, but you've got to help me out here. But instead, what I'm doing is I've got my shoes off. I've got my feet in your face and I'm sort of reclining back and I'm like, please help me out. You're going to be like, this guy's come to me to ask for help.
Go away, mate.
And look at his attitude. Yeah,
it's true.
So this is exactly how we approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One, we don't have yaqeen that he'll be able to answer. So we're sort of like, if you could do it, it'd be great. If not, someone else. Number two, the etiquettes, the way that we ask him is not right. The way that we're sitting, And then the other thing is that there's no reliance on him. We don't totally trust in him. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, whenever you go to do a dua, the thing is, what you need to do is, first of all, think of what you need. Then think of all the people that you could go to that would be able to help you. Then think of how each and every one of those people will humiliate you if ever the time came, uh, even financially. The finance is an easy one, you know, how they could humiliate you. So now you've got these 10 people in your mind, all these 10 people could help me, but now you've got to think of ways that all 10 of these people could potentially humiliate you in the future. And he says,
Yeah.
once you've thought all of that and you realize that actually, you know, it's pretty hopeless, I can't turn to anyone, he says, then turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because at that point, you have the purity of intention. You are totally helpless, totally
Yeah.
hopeless. And so now when you ask Allah, Allah will answer your dua.
Yeah.
So that's just a
Definitely.
couple of those
Yeah.
points.
And I think also, like, expanding on your points when you're talking about dua, do you not think sometimes it becomes very cultural? You know, it's Ramzan, okay, I have to recite this, but without actually not knowing why you're reciting it. Do you not know? Do you not think that we should put more emphasis on why we're reciting, or who was this dua taught to us by? You know, which imam was it recited by?
I don't think that's the cultural part of it isn't an issue.
Right.
If what I think the biggest issue is right now is that we have ascribed spirituality and religiosity solely to the building that is the Husayniyah, and it's become more apparent now than it ever has.
Yeah.
Now that everyone's in isolation, everyone's locked down,
Yeah.
everyone's like, it doesn't feel the same. I don't feel as spiritual not going to the masjid. Baba, your house should be spiritual. Your house should be the place where you gain your spirituality. The masjid is just a stepping stone. You know,
Yeah.
if your house isn't spiritual, then obviously you're gonna feel this isolation and be like, you know, I haven't been able to do anything in Shahr Ramadan. That's one. The second thing is the whole way that we've quantified the religion. You know, we've made the religion, we've quantified it. You know, all our du'as and stuff like that, we have this like tick box exercise where we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, listen, this night I need to get through this du'a. You know, Laylatul Qadr, I have to do all of this. It's on the sheet from the masjid. And if I
Yeah.
do this, then, you know, that means I've passed. But actually, you know, I'm going through it and I'm not concentrating. You know, I'm flicking forward pages. I'm like rocking back. I'm like stretching my. I have a mini heart attack when they put the slow reciter on for Josh and Kabir. Yeah, because they're like, oh man, I didn't put him on. Should have put on the other guy. He was faster. And you know, that's not worship. That's not ibadat.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's what we've made it. Yeah, we've made it because we've quantified the religion. Whereas the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a qualitative journey. It can't
Yeah.
be quantified. The only parts that you can quantify are the wajibat. When it comes to the mustahabbat, you know, that's down to you. So whatever power you have within yourself spiritually, that's what you do. But the moment you start, you know, flicking pages forward and you start, you know, thinking, oh God, when's it? Then you might as well
Yeah.
finish. You may as well
Daydreaming,
stop
essentially. Yeah.
because you're not focused on Allah and you're disrespecting Him even more.
Yeah, that's
Whereas,
right.
you know, and we think of it as like God is far away, you know. No, God isn't far away. Allah is near to us. Yeah,
Yeah.
in Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, you know, towards like in the opening lines, I guess you could say that the Imam talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's saying, وَأَنَّ الرَّاحِلَ إِلَيْكَ قَرِيبُ الْمَسَافَةِ, says that, oh Allah, and traveling to you truly is only a short distance. It's not
Yeah.
so far. But when we quantify the religion with these a'mal after a'mal after a'mal, and God bless those that forward them on WhatsApp every day, and you know, all of those things. Yeah,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh my God, what, you know, people ringing me up all the time, like, Sheikh, we don't know what to do. Like, what a'mal do we do? And half of these, nobody knows where they come from, right? So someone from some auntie somewhere, I'm sorry if
Yeah.
it's aunties and uncles all together, you know,
I won't
just forwards
generalize.
it from somewhere, and it like sort of goes around and it keeps on, and you know, someone adds something to it, and you know, more and more masala keeps on getting added to this thing, and you're like, And there can't be this many interpretations of the Salah Ja'far al-Tayyar. But, it's like, oh, this person said, if you did this at the end, and this is what happens when you try and quantify the journey
Yeah.
to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibadat should be pleasurable. It should be something that you enjoy. It's something, and when you overpack it, outside of this isn't about the wajibat, like wajibat you have to do.
You have
But
to,
when
yeah.
it comes to the mustahabbat, the little bits that you do, they've got to be the bits that you enjoy. And then you build on that, and then you start to increase and keep on going further and further until you reach that point. The problem is we go from a 0 to 100. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with these, and you got these big sheets. I've got to do all this, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But how much of it did I concentrate on? Nothing. Maybe the first 10%. And then they put
Yeah.
on, a bad reciter or someone that was a slow reciter, and then I lost interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are that's the reality of the situation.
Correct. Correct.
Speaking about that, obviously you've mentioned Dua Abu Hamza a few times tonight.
Yeah.
Why is there a whole dua named after Abu Hamza? Could you give us some information about who he was, or what is it that was so special
Yeah.
about him that there's been a whole dua made named after him?
Abu Hamza Thumali was one of the companions of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And he was such a close companion of Imam Sajjad that later on, even in some of the books of Rijal of Sayyid al-Khoi, they refer to him as, it says that the society would know him as the Luqman of his time. So Hazrat al-Luqman
Wow.
that's spoken about
Subhanallah.
says the Luqman,
Yes.
Abu Hamza was the Luqman of his time. And in other narrations, they say Abu Hamza Thumali was the Salman of his time. He was one
Wow.
of the close companions of the Imam. He saw the lives of 4 Imams according to historical narration. So from Imam al-Sajjad to Imam al-Baqir, Imam al-Sadiq, and then he sees the start of the Imamate of Imam al-Kadhim. So he's very, very close to the Imam. One day he hears the Imam reciting this dua, and he asks the Imam what it is. And so the Imam teaches it to him. And the beauty of Ahlul Bayt is this, that, it was the dua of Imam al-Sajjad, but he teaches it to Abu Hamza Thumali, and it becomes the dua of Abu Hamza Thumali. He
Yes.
becomes immortalized.
Wow.
Amir al-Mu'mineen is teaching
Dua
Dua
Kumail.
Kumail.
ibn Ziyad
Yeah.
al-Nikhai the dua of Nabi Khidr,
Yeah.
and he teaches it to him, and it becomes Dua Kumail. That centuries afterwards, me and you, we're reciting it, we're calling it Dua Kumail, not knowing that
Yes.
the origins of this dua come from elsewhere, or Dua Abu Hamza Thumali. So this is who Abu Hamza Thumali is. Now this dua is highly recommended to be recited at the time of Sahar. It is very lengthy. There's no doubt
Yes.
about that. A person that is a fluent reciter would be able to get through it in about an hour. It is very lengthy, but it is highly, highly recommended. I mean, there is so much in this dua where we're talking about our relationship towards Allah, Allah's relationship with us, then our relationship with other creatures of Allah in relation to God, then our life within this world, our relationship with death, the entrance into death. This dua has it all, and it's sort of a hybrid between dua and munajat. The munajats are they're very intimate
Yes.
in the way that they start. They'll start with Ilahi, my Lord, that I believe worthy of worship. Dua start with Allahumma generally.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
things like dua kumayl. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء.
Yeah.
First of all, my Lord, I ask you by your rahmah that encompasses everything. But then on the other side, you have Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, which is Ilahi, la tu'addibni bi'uqubatik. Straight away, I enter into this dua, says, my Lord, who I believe worthy of worship, do not discipline me through your punishment. And this in itself is a discussion as to what does it mean to discipline through punishment and what does the Imam mean there. But the point at this juncture is that look at straight away, it's a very intimate setting. Though it's a dua, but it's like a munajat. It's to
Yeah.
be recited at the time of sahar, when everyone else around you is asleep, or where everyone else is worried about eating. You sit there and you talk with the
Supplicating.
Lord. And
Yeah.
it is so important that they say if you can't read the whole of Dua Abu Hamza Thumali every single sahar, then break it down and recite it over 2 or 3 sahar. And if you
Okay.
can't do that over a week, and if you can't do that, do it over a month, but at least once
Recite it.
in Shahr Ramadan, complete Dua Abu Hamza Thumali. And when you read the translation of it, it will bring tears to your eyes.
Subhanallah. I mean, we've got no
Excellent.
excuses this month, have we? I mean, we're all stuck in lockdown, so you can't turn around and say we haven't got time, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
viewers, if you do have any questions, please forward them in. Inshallah, Nabil will be happy to answer them.
It's
Yeah, having said that as well, we didn't mention today's competition. That's why no one's called
Oh,
in
yes.
today, because
That's right.
we do have a £15 Amazon voucher up for grabs tonight. For anyone who gets involved with the show, your name will be entered into a draw. And obviously the chocolate bars. So phone's
Will
been
be
very quiet today, surprisingly. But get involved and let us know what you think of the topic and ask any questions you feel like. We'll present them. We only have about 15 minutes left before we have to close, so left it a little bit late, but please do get
involved,
involved.
yeah. And this time my wife will not be winning the voucher, so don't worry about
Oh yeah,
thinking it's a fix.
yeah. Hassan rigged it last week and entered for himself. So let's try and get a new winner in this week.
That's right. That's right. Mazahir, you wanted to ask a question? Was it? To, oh. Yeah. Mazahir, we can hear you, bro.
Hello.
Yeah,
yes,
we can hear you.
you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Apologies. So bit of technical difficulty there. So yeah, going back to the topic of du'as, obviously with sincerity, if you ask for du'as, you're saying that there's no reason why God would refuse to answer them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's not just with sincerity. It's also the fact that what is it that you're asking? Is it beneficial
Is
to
it good
you?
for you?
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
so when we were children and you asked your parents for something, and I don't know, it was something like rat poison, and you wanted to drink it, and they're like, "Listen, this isn't good for you," but you're like, "No, no, no, it's a good. It's like a
nah.
bright blue color. I want to drink it. Let me try some." Yeah, and they're like, "Listen, no, you can't have any." And the insistence of a child. Imagine that now times, a million times over in relation to our relationship with Allah. Sometimes I'm like, listen, you got to make me rich, Ya Allah, make me rich. And he's just like, I don't think it's a good idea to make you
It's
rich
not good
just
for
yet.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
just
not what's
now. And
best
then,
for
so
you.
sometimes, it becomes a bit much for us to be able to compute. But, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the problem isn't for Allah to give. Like, that's not an issue. In Dua Iftitah, what do you recite every day? Allah, what I'm asking you, for you, it's small. But what
Yeah.
for me, it's massive. The
Yeah, it's
issue
big.
is huge. But for you, it's tiny, it's insignificant. You know, so for Allah, it's not an issue to grant, because in the dua of Rajab, we say, يا من يعطي الكثير بالقليل يا من يعطي من سأل يا من يعطي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرفه تحننا منه ورحمة. Oh, the one that grants to the one that asks from him, and oh, the one that gives to the one that does not ask from him, and oh, the
Yes.
one that gives to the one that doesn't even acknowledge his existence. تحننا منه ورحمة, out of his infinite mercy. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving regardless, right?
Yeah.
But it's that specific thing that me in my mind think that is good for me, that I'm insisting and I'm asking for, that he's choosing not to give me out of his mercy. There's one thing that, this abd won't come back to me to ask. But the second thing is that, it's not good for you in the long run.
Yeah. It may change you.
It
Like when you
causes
keep
issue.
talking about money, you may end up becoming a worse person, if Allah gave you that money.
Yeah, exactly.
But then just
But yeah, it's
for
difficult.
argument's sake,
Yeah.
like we think about a non-Muslim. I don't know. Let's think about like maybe a famous rapper or something. Like he has everything in the world, yet they will probably still claim to have a relationship with God. So is that justified compared to how one person is given so much, and then you look in like a village in Africa, for example, children are starving. So where's the justification in that? Where's God's
Yeah.
justification in
So
that
it's a
sort
good
of a matter?
question. It's a good question. But the thing is that the question itself has a logical flaw because
Okay.
this rapper that you've ascribed so much value to, yeah, that you're paying him millions, or this football star that that's not God. That's you and me. We've ascribed value as human beings. We've been given the opportunity to ascribe. So when there's this deficit economically between the north of the world and the south of the world, what we call the north-south divide, when there's that economic difference, that ain't God. God gave everyone the equal platform. It is the corruption and the injustice of man that has led to this situation to arise. That someone sitting in Africa in a mud hut isn't able to make their life or make, earn enough to eat for that day. But then there's someone who's sitting on a gold toilet. Yeah. Uh, that's
Yeah.
not God. That's human beings that have created a corrupt system that because like look, take this example of the whole coronavirus lockdown. The whole reason we're here and we're doing this in this format, it the whole world and people are suffering in this country. The lower classes, the working classes, every class at the moment is suffering.
Yeah.
But yet it was only the politicians that got given first access to testing kits. And it was only, not even medical staff got access to testing kits, but it was politicians and people like that. So then you've got to ask yourself, okay, wait, is this a fair system? Yeah. So this ain't God. This is me and you. This is the system that we're living in. This is the system the ideas that we're perpetuating. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
But thinking about it in the sense that God is all powerful, he has control over, obviously, yeah, fine, me and you as humans, we can decide which way to go. But is there no control from God himself as a whole to be able to keep everything level loaded, if that makes sense?
So yeah,
Level
so
playing
now,
field.
so if God interjects, yeah, God intervenes. Come Yom Al Qiyamah, someone's gonna get up and be like, "Hey, man, I didn't get a chance. God intervened." So the whole idea of a test and heaven and hell and everything goes to pot because He intervened. Now, obviously, there is the intervention of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala through the coming of the Imam. In Dua Iftitah, again, what do you recite every single day? Allahumma inna narghabu ilayka fi dawlatin karima. We're praying for the establishment of the righteous government of the Imam. Yeah, تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله. Yeah, we're praying for that establishment of the government of the Imam, a government of justice, where someone could walk from the east, a lady will walk from the east with a pot of gold upon her head, and I walk from the east to the west, and no one will bat an eyelid because everyone will have enough. Everyone will be satisfied with what they have. So, yes, eventually the plan of God will come, but for God to directly intervene within this world, just because, it will interfere with the test. Human beings must be tested. Some will be tested with wealth, some will be tested with poverty.
Yeah. Everyone has their own test, essentially, isn't it? And
Yeah, and everyone is judged based upon their own ability.
yes.
A person that is disabled cannot be judged in the same way that a person that is able-bodied is.
Yes. True, very true. We were saying as well, send any of your questions through. We have had one coming through from Sister Kaniz Fatima. She says, a thought on the discussion. When you get what you ask for, that is God's direction. when you don't get what you ask for, is that God's protection?
I would say that both are God's direction. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you get given what you ask for, and so, you see here it becomes complex because the second line of Dua Abu Hamza Thumari, the start of it, it says, "Ilahi la tu'addibni bi'uqubatik." My Lord, don't test me or don't discipline me through your punishment. Yeah.
Mm.
So teach me through normal educational means and things like that. Don't punish me to teach me the lesson. But the second line says, وَلَا تَمْكُرْ بِي فِي حِيلَتِكَ, and don't subject me to your plot. So now here's where it gets a bit difficult, because the plot of Allah, the makr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say is more silent than a black ant walking in the darkest of nights on a black rock. A person will become part of the plot of God and not realize. So now there could be something that I'm constantly asking for, and at the same time I'm constantly sinning. Eventually God looks at me and says, you know what, this person, they just don't care about what I've commanded them. They're constantly sinning, constantly doing haram, and then they're
Yeah.
coming and they're asking me for something. You know what? Give it to him, get rid of him. Yeah. So there's also that side of it as well. So
Yeah.
just because we got something that we'd asked for doesn't necessarily mean that it was something that was what Allah wanted from us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we mitigate this? It's by raising our hands and saying, Ya Allah, give this to me if it is good for me, if it is good for
Yeah.
my iman, it is good for my future. That's the main thing, right? Will my iman be protected? When
Yes.
Amir al-Mu'mineen is told by Rasulullah that, Ya Ali, in Shahr Ramadan you will be killed. I see your beard reddened. And the only question that Amir al-Mu'mineen asks, says, Ya Rasulullah, will my iman be intact? Will
Wow.
my iman be? And Rasulullah says yes. And so then now when Amir al-Mu'mineen is struck, it's Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. By the Lord of the Kaaba, I have been successful.
Yes.
That iman was maintained.
Yes.
So that's the important thing. So sometimes, yeah, we ask for something, we get it, but it might be the plot of God that this
Yeah.
person, with this, because they've sinned so much, and then they still come and ask me, and God, wants to turn away. He might end up giving this person, for example, wealth, knowing and allowing this person to go down this path of, the slippery slope of this wealth taking over and hubb dunya, because this person has committed such a major sin. I don't know, they did dhulm on another human being. They took away the haqq of another human being, or they kicked a cat, or they stepped on a dog. All of these things are huquq of the creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you infringe them, there's a possibility that person might become subject to the plot of Allah.
Thank you
Fine.
so
And
much,
just
Nabil.
briefly, if you can just touch on the fact before we end for tonight, when you say in Dua Abu Hamza Thumali, it mentions, "Do not teach me through your punishment." So, can you expand a little bit on that? Because that's got me thinking that, don't teach me through your punishment.
So that's what Imam's saying. It's a ilahi, don't la tu'addibni. So the whole basis of it is adab, discipline, right? So we understand that the purpose here to progress towards Allah is through discipline. And so when we say in this dua, la tu'addibni bi'uqubatik, don't discipline me through your punishment, it means that there's sometimes where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to teach a human being a lesson, may punish them. Punish them with, I don't know, it could be an illness, it could be a loss of wealth, it could be
Yeah.
something, just to wake this person up. Be like, hey, wake
Them
up.
from that slumber.
Because I'm so ghafil, I'm so inattentive at times that I need something to shake me awake. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, there's still God, there's still that. So this is what we're asking. We're saying, don't do that, please. If at all possible, just teach me and just discipline me through teaching me and reveal that. Don't punish me, because the punishment side of it's kind of painful. Not
Yeah.
it may not necessarily be physically. I mean, that can happen sometimes. I commit a sin, I'm walking away and I stub my toe. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is sometimes as a penance for certain sins that I've done. Illness is a penance for sin. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just physical pain, but it can also be emotional distress as well
Sure.
that a person goes through. So it's different ways that God sort of shows us love, in the same way that a mother may slap her child around the head very lightly, like, I'm not talking about full on child abuse and beating, but we're talking about, a mother, and even again, that's a different discussion, but parents that hit their children and mark them, there is a diya, there is blood money that is owed to the
That has to be
child, but
paid,
that's
yeah.
another discussion. But like a light tap around the head from a mother telling a child not to go and put his hand in a fire, again, it's the disciplining him. And so in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes it's slaps, sometimes a bit of a harder slap, to get the point across. But what we're saying in Dua Abu Hamza is sometimes in Dua Abu Hamza, that's what we're saying. We're saying, look, I admit I mess up, but please don't discipline me through your punishment.
Yeah.
I'll try and fix myself. Teach me in another way. So
Yeah.
it's a very endearing way of speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think we have come to our deadline now,
End of the show.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think we need to do another show with
It's
Sheikh
just
Nabil.
it was just the tip of the iceberg. I think we definitely need another few sessions like that on this just to
I think
get
we've
through.
just chipped away at it at the moment. So, inshallah, I hope everyone that's tuned in enjoyed the show.
Enjoyed it, yeah.
Obviously, you can catch up on YouTube. Any questions, you can send them in. We'll try and get them answered for you. And it's been nice, even though we're missing Montazir today and Ali, who couldn't get
Yeah.
connected. Appreciate
Inshallah,
you
next week.
time out, Sheikh Nabil, today to join us. And
No problem at all.
Thank you so much.
And inshallah, we'll do it once again another time.
Inshallah.
By we
Thank
go.
you for coming.
What you having for iftar tonight?
Oh yes. We have this tradition, Nabil, where we say what we're having for iftar. So you go first. What are you having for iftar, Nabil?
I have no idea. I think it's probably pasta.
Pasta. Okay.
Pasta.
I've got T-bone today. T-bone steak.
Excellent. And me, I'm just keeping it humble with some dates and kajur. Dates and milk.
I didn't realize there were two different things, Mazahir.
Dates and kajur. Well, you can have some camel milk or something, And keep it fully traditional and humble, huh?
Fully humble. So yeah, great time. Inshallah, everyone enjoyed the show. Please
thank you for the viewers as well. We shall see you next week, which will be our final program, I think, Maz.
Exactly, it will be our final one for the time being. So yeah, thank you everyone for your support.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Fi amanillah.